Hi guys, this is Rin. Welcome back to Rin Films. Today, I'm gonna talk about a movie that is such a hot topic for the past 2 months. The Devil Wears Prada 2. It's a movie that is so hot, people cannot get enough of the drama and the criticism. Everything is unfolding finally after I watched it in theater. People are calling The Devil's Wear Prada 2 such a successful return just because of the booming number in theater that is happening right now. I think this film ironically becomes the exact thing that it critiques. It's about big corporations sucking the soul out of everything and capitalize on them. And the message is very loud and clear, but how they deliver it and then the way they deliver it is, to me, I have so many things to say. And that's what I'm gonna do in this video. The first part will be my genuine reaction, spoiler free, and the second part we will really deep into the analyzation of the plot and the relevance of this movie to this digital age. So let's start. So the story is 20 years in the future, where Andy is older and calmer, trying to bring real meaning of journalism and into this glamorous world of runway, as always, because traditional media was shrinking and then something happened, an opportunity opens up and then she found herself back into Runway magazine with Miranda. Can Andy and Miranda save Runway again with the help of other people? So they stick to the original plot. Except for Emily is doing her own thing. I love her, she's an MVP, I'm gonna talk about her later. And Miranda is still this lady boss. But there is something different about her, and Nigel is still by her side. So the four iconic dynamic that we see in the first one will remain in this one. I was really surprised that when I tried to book like a ticket during the weekend, it was fully booked. Like, I tried to book a bigger theater, but also full seat, so I have to watch it in a smaller one. So I think financially, the movie is doing really great on opening week. And I will tell you about what I like and what I didn't like. At first, what I like is Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep are still the heart of the film. Their dynamic still works, and Emily Blunt is delightful. I'm more excited about her than Anne and Meryl Streep, even though they're both legends. But Emily Blunt is low-key the MVP of this series. And there are quiet tribute moments, like hidden gems, scatter around the film for you to find. So if you're a fan of the first one, you enjoyed this so much, just picking out the little bits and pieces. And the second thing I like about it is Miranda interaction with her new assistant. Her name is Amari. She played by the girl who's in Bridgerton, and I love her. She's beautiful, she's talented, she's gorgeous. Like, her outfit basically ate like the whole movie. Like, she's the only character that I cannot critique about fashion. It's how beautiful she is. And her dynamic with Miranda is like, she's like a precise version of Emily. She's not panicked, she's calm, she always 10 steps ahead. And she also acts as like a filter for Miranda to not getting canceled for saying the wrong thing, basically. Because Miranda from an older generation, and sometimes for the media now, she can be a little bit insensitive. The dynamic is really cool. So I think that's a good casting choice and a good dynamic that I love. The third thing I like about it is the chaoticness also, because there's so many glamours. Like, you get to see cities, you get to see people in fashion in action, and you get to spot a lot of familiar faces of influencers and maybe like icons that basically are pretty hot in the Western social media. They did not disrupt this storyline in any way, so it's just like a fun, insignificant cameos that make you happy. And now is what I did not like. I did not like the chaotic moments of fashion in the movie. Like, there is no common theme, there's no clear message, because fashion, it's human behavior. Fashion is culture. Fashion is a rebel against the norm. it means so much. But then this collection, I don't know who's the stylist for this movie. I might have to search that up, but there's no common thread connecting them, like there's a lot of fashion moment that like a montage layering on each other, and it just a bunch of mess, that glamorous mess that doesn't mean anything. It feels very surface touching. And also Stanley Tucci, who plays that Nigel, such a sharp character in the original, right? He's so iconic. Like, I love him. And I expect a moment where he stepped on stage and then taking the room and then, being this guidance, being this person of like reason when Miranda is being too harsh or when Andy is being too shy. But his character played down a lot. Like, his plot was not that bright or important in whatever they're trying to do. I was so sad for Nigel. Yeah. And Emily gets less screen time than she deserved, and I will come back on that later because, I really want a movie that Emily's the main character and then Andy just a supporting role, because maybe they missed on that. They should do that. It will create something new, something refreshing and much better, in my opinion. It's just opinion. Yeah, Andy, our main character, she is in her 40s, right? 20 years. So I assume that she's in her 40s. She had a career. She should be like this got shit together woman. At some part, she acts so unprofessional and still very emotional that I don't think she's like a 20 years experienced person in the journalism world. They kind of show her going to work, but it doesn't have that vibe, like the girl boss vibes. Like, of course, people want you to feel the familiar of the first Andy, but 40-something-year-old woman. So she annoys me a lot into the scene, and I will not go deep in this part of the video just because it's spoiler. So no spoiler here yet. And also, the whole film is like a big commercial. Product placement everywhere, like fancy brands and brand names and droppings and everything. Like, it's not that deep, rebellious, sensitive and iconic fashion like the first one. And I know I mentioned the first one a lot just because I love it. And this one, it's far behind on that. There's so many on-time theme that doesn't show up like whatsoever in the movie. And that's what I'm disappointed about. I guess the plot, the movie is too short to put 20 years of innovation in the fashion industry into it. But I wish I can see just a little bit, and I'll be much happier. And to answer the question that I've been saying a lot of bad things about it, should you watch it? I think if you're a fan of the first one, you should. It's fun, it's beautiful, it's glamorous, it's made by, top tier production. So visually it's beautiful. But if you don't watch it, nothing will change, because this movie is not a statement at any kind, and we're gonna forget about it in 2 months. That's how insignificant it is to me, but I love it. I still pay for a ticket, I go watch it, and I came back, okay, I'm glad somebody made it. And some fun fact about this movie, the budget is $100 million. The opening weekend is already pulled around $234 million, so they are making banks. So financially, it is successful. And Anna Wintour and Meryl Streep was on a Vogue magazine cover in April. It's funny, and it's kind of show onto the movie itself. And there's a lot of events in Wintour career, and everything is happening within the fashion industry right now happens in the movie. I don't think it's a spoiler, but if you're a very you're a very fashion nerd and you kind of follow news, I think you can guess the plot of the movie. I think that's one of the good things. Then it is good enough to basically predict what is happening. And there's one thing I feel like I have to say. This movie feels a lot like Ocean 8. Like, you know that heist movie that Sandra Bullock was Danny Ocean's sister, and then they gather a bunch of like famous, iconic people like Rihanna in the movie. I don't know. It feels like it's made by the same team, but it's actually not. It's just similar formula, different team. It's just very shallow. It's just very surface scratching. It's, you know, it doesn't satisfy my itch, basically. So you should go watch it and then come back. Or if you're not interested in watching it, you can watch me analyze it in the second part of the video. Okay, you made it to the second part of this video, and I will put a final spoiler alert here. If you want to see it and you haven't, you could just go watch it and then come back to this video, because I really don't want to ruin it for you, and I want people to have their own opinion right before I show mine. So, spoiler alert. Let's start with the deep dive. Let's start with the main plot. It's basically circled around this one event, that runway is facing extinction in the digital age. And a tech billionaire named Benji Barnes, very clearly modeled by some Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, wants to buy the magazine. And he plans to outsource Runway to AI, and he wants to digitize it, and he wants to give it to his girlfriend, Emily, swapping away the traditional way of like journalism that Andy, or the way of fashion and beauty and art that Miranda, devote her whole life to. So the plot centers around that event of transaction, and maybe the event leading to that transaction. The film set up a real argument moment. Should an institute like Runway be run by a big corporation, or should it allow to exist as itself, as a legacy, protected and protected and also keep the integrity throughout generation? The film does not answer it whatsoever. That's kind of make me angry. The ending is so unresolved. They basically transferred to another boss, another big corporation, even though they transfer it to Sasha Barnes, like Benji Barnes' ex-wife. She also a millionaire model, maybe by somebody like Mackenzie Scott. And she's supposed to be this more ethic, care about values and feminist and, woman independent and arts and beauty. She's supposed to be that character. But she's still a big boss with a lot of money, and then she just buy it and let them run it by themselves. I think there is no logical sense in that, like, at all in the real world, in my opinion. Because, like, the movie is all about, like, a big corporation, bad, millionaire, dumb. They try to kill fashion, they try to kill tradition, they try to digitize everything and suck the soul out of everything. It's what makes, like, a wife of the billion doesn't do the same. She's a businesswoman at best, and even if, like, with ethic, of course, maybe they built her character up a little bit more, like we can see more of her, and we can be like, yeah, like that woman will make great things, she's like one of the good rich people. But it's not. It's just like, oh, she has a PhD, she just newly engaged, and she like art. That's like every rich person that we know. It's just very, like a big plot hole. It doesn't resolve anything. And then Runway left to run as it is. No updates, no new recruits that, more intelligent about AI. AI should not be included in a creative process, but it can be, update to assist humans to run things more efficiently. It can run data for Runway and make them more, accessible by, accessing all those data and stuff like that. And there is no, like, maybe digital artist, there is no, like, new photographer, new stylist. They could have just made Jin the new media officer, but, like, let her try to run her own thing, because she's a Gen Z. Of course, they built her as, like, this cute, quirky Gen Z assistant. And also the writer, disclaimer that she modeled Jin after her friend same name. And like that's a love letter to like a Gen Z character. And that's fine. People are fighting over Jin, and then she's just this insignificant character that she doesn't like. I wish they give her a role to be like a media like content officer in charge of the digital part. You know, like how how Gen Z interact with the social media now. I'll be more happy. I will like, okay, I give you the benefit of the doubt. But nothing. Absolutely zero, nothing. They run like they do 20 years ago. And some people got promoted. And that's all. And that's not a moral conclusion. That's just like flat ending. That, oh, everybody's happy and dandy. Let's go. You know, and I sound a little bit angry just because I have so many expectations and they were let down. And funny enough, everything happening in the plot is actually happening in Anna's winter real life right now. Like right now. Like Jeff Bezos want to buy Vogue for his new wife. Like Benji trying to buy Runway for Emily. And I guess it's prophecy. I guess they caught wind of something, but this movie was made last year. So, and I think the offer to buy Vogue, allegedly, not confirmed yet, it's just a rumor. And so, funny enough, it is like a prophecy is coming true in real life. But with that said, Jeff Bezos and his wife will sponsor the Met Gala, and a famous designer from the house Louis Vuitton and J.W. Anderson refused to show up in the Met Gala, and even Zendaya recently trying to boycott the Met Gala everywhere on like show up in New York and social media. So the movie was like released in the middle of all that. It kind of like mocking the millionaire on screen, right? But Anna Wintour went on like the Vogue cover with Meryl Streep. Like it just so hypocritical to do that, because you cannot mock the millionaire and then in a movie that you kind of backed up, like, you know, you kind of like, oh, I green light this, I support this, and then that movie is about critiquing what you're doing in real life. You know what I mean? Like she's letting Bezos sponsoring the Met Gala, and people are so angry about it. It's very ironic. It's not satire, you know what I mean? It feels like a camouflage. Like, you know, we will relate it to the poor, you know. Arts matter, everything else matters, but money and things that we cannot refuse, we have to function. So it feels very hypocrite to do that. There's a lot of like real world details that I like that we can find, especially like a Benji taking over plan and the mass email firing at an award ceremony. That's actually happened. Like the local paper shut down, like the media scaled down. The US have been facing a mass crisis when it comes to traditional media, like reading paper. I think it's happening all around the world. Like most people don't read like hard copy anymore. We turn on to more digital news sources. So yeah, the job cut off and everything else, it makes sense. It's a detail. And the fast fashion scandal at the beginning of the movie that helped Andy came back to Runway also is like a Shein scandal that happened, and they're all real. They are very present. I guess that show that the production team tried. You know, they try to update about the world and everything. It's just not enough. Yeah, and the end of the film, like the plot and everything and the ending, they argue that the Runway would survive because of the legacy and people still care. But like, what survival look like? You know, if they don't update themselves, what survival look like? That's only like the tip of the iceberg that they touch, and then they just leave everything for us to be like, what now? All the parts before the main plot, I have a love-hate relationship with it because some of it are really accurate and some of it are not. But this is the part where they lost me, like completely. Like the biggest tension in the story is supposed to be the old-fashioned world versus the new generation. But the new generation is not a threat. We are the future. Like, they treated the new generation, the new way of digitizing and everything is a threat. And influencer are just a punchline, and then Gen Z is a problem to be managed. Like, that's the strangest part. Like, the billionaire character who they clearly want to build like a stupid character and they make fun of, he is the one that actually says something true and relatable. He said, the future is coming. Things are going to change. Of course, we are sad. Something will go. But that's how life is. One day everything will be destroyed and nothing matters. But the future is necessary. And Miranda cannot do anything to stop it. And that's the fact. Like, she either update herself, update runway, become better, or she got left behind. And she was so sad about it. But yeah, like the money system has like a lot of bigger problems, right? The criticism are very real. But the broader truth, in a world when everything is changing very fast, like the people and the institution does not update and change themselves will be left behind. They will be outdated. And people will not want to engage with them no more. Of course, there are people who try hard to protect and to preserve, but that is like holding on a lifeline. And the reality is a lot of like even traditional arts now, they're updating they keep, of course, the art, they keep the integrity, they keep the traditional way, but the way they're marketing is different. The way they represent it is different. And that's good. The new blending, the new generation and the old generation. Like, that's what, art and then being human is about. We evolve. And this movie is just basically pointing out that evolving is bad. It's not a story about like adapting. It's a story about being saved by a more polite version of the same system. So capitalism wins. They just sell themselves to a richer boss or another boss, a better boss. But what's stopping that boss turning into like a villain? They invest in something, they will expect like value back. And if runway is not relevant to people anymore, there's no value in runway. If everything in like the movie happens in real life, I think that company will last for another 2 years, and that's all. Like, it will become a relic that put in a museum. Like, the building become like a legacy building. And now we're going to character building. Let's start with Miranda. She's the strongest in the film. Basically, she's a woman that, based on Anna Wintour, she has dedicated her life to this magazine, to art, to, creating this iconic Vogue runway, like where it's like a Bible of fashion. That's what people called it. And then she still stand exactly where she stood. It's lack character development with Miranda. As like a woman that's as ambitious and, brilliant as she is, she's basically a dinosaur in the best way in like the fashion world. And like she have no saying in runway publication. She say nothing. And then Anne Hathaway character Andy kind of being frustrated about it. Like, she have no voice whatsoever, even though she's Miranda. And they kind of show her stuck within a system that she cannot change. The fun part is watching her struggling to fit into the new, the new world, the new digital age. Try to read an article on a phone that she cannot see without her glasses. Try to hang her own coat when she can just throw coat at people. She got HR complaint. It is very relevant. Like, I love those details. That's the reason I am not regretting my ticket. There's not much character development, but they kept her original characteristics true and genuine. And one note on Miranda showing up at fashion show, they apparently go to Rio Dolce Gabbana show to film that shot. And they totally ignore any type of influence that Miranda has on social media. The fact that they show up like celebrity and we're taking pictures and I'm really excited for them, it's also feel like the effect and influence moment. And they never touch that. So that is very illogical to me. Social media is a very powerful tool. It's also the type of world within itself. And if you don't understand social media, you will stay very irrelevant to the world. And Miranda showing up on the cover of Vogue with Anna Wintour, that moment is so iconic, right? But the film itself does not have any significant impact. The conversation about fashion publishing should look like in the future. There's nothing within that character that, keep being an iconic, like keeping the trendsetter, keeping like the person who direct where fashion should go. And that's make me wonder a lot about, like, after this movie, where do you think fashion publication gonna go? Where do you think Vogue and other magazines gonna go? So yeah, that's something to think about. And Andy as a character is the same person to her core, still surrounded by friends who does not related to fashion at all. She's still trying to fit in after all those years, looking much cooler. And her friends, despite like famous copywriter, art dealer, they still the same person, excited for freebies, like, the Valentino free gifts, or like her publisher friend who does not know anything about an NDA, like, because she's gonna write a book and then they should have some type of terms and condition that you cannot tell anything about this. And then Miranda ending up knowing about this in the end, and it's like, oh, they run to tell you. No, there's not. There will be rumors. She will not know for sure, but there will be rumors. There will be like laws that enforce you cannot reveal, like, the detail of the contract, like, so it doesn't feel professional at all in that world. And it feels like still like a bunch of 20 years old working through life in social context. And then her desire of wanting approval from Miranda is still very strong after so many years, and it's very strange to me. Maybe it's natural for other people. It's kind of fun. It makes a very fun dynamics that she really, really wants Miranda approvals, but it's just very strange. So there's this iconic moment of Andy. She showed up for the first time in Devils Wear Prada, the first one, in a cerulean blue sweater. And in the ending scene, Anne Hathaway actually asked her stylist to pull that blue sweater out and then redesign it into a vest, signaling that Andy had changed, she had updated herself, but within the core, she's still who she is, as her value and her trust in her work. And that's like a beautiful thing, I think. I was so excited when I see it, I was so excited when I see that vest. And I was like, oh, I recognize that collar. So I think Andy character was still very lovable but annoying at some part, like the first movie. And I think you like her. We're gonna talk about Emily because she's the MVP of this movie. And people need to acknowledge it, even though the crew itself does not know her story potential, in my opinion. Like, every scene she's in is so fun and lively, and she has the sharpest comic timing. But it feels like they just put her there to be funny, and then that's it. Like, she have no character development, she have no plot. Like, when you already divorced once, and then she works so successful in Dior, in like building a career for herself. She's in retailing, but she's the one with the sharpest mind that can see like how the world works now. Like, if there is no high-end ads buyer, there is no runway. And she saw the fact in it and she used it to press Miranda. So she is one of the sharpest mind in the movie, and they just give her like funny lines. And I'm very, very sad. Like, I would want a version of a movie that she have her own plot, because she always the work hard girl. She always the creative. She always the one who love fashion. She's passionate. She's ambitious. And they still give her the plot that, Miranda looked down on her so much. And then somehow she's still pampering to Andy. Like, like childishness. But then with Emily, with the person who works so hard, and she just overlooked it. It just sounds like Miranda's such a bad person for doing it, or they just want to build Emily as a side character. But Emily, style and then plot and everything, it's such a darling that I loved her. I would like, when this movie is on streaming, I would just watch it again just because of her. And Stanley Tucci's played Nigel, that's still with Miranda all this year. He's loyal, he is vigilant, he's basically he's the mother of Runway. They kind of set him up to be like, oh, he's this silence force that support Miranda for all those years, and finally he has this moment standing on stage, and then they make him read from notes. He wrote that notes. They can make Stanley Tucci make great speech about future of fashion, about the connection between past and present and future. It can be iconic. But then he just say a few weird notes that doesn't mean anything. And that's pissed me off so much. And in the end, his role in getting Andy back to Runway is revealed. And it's so insignificant, it's unnecessary. I don't like, maybe they try to be like, make him like a mother of Runway. He always look out for other people. But that's it. He and Emily has so much potential to have their own timeline. Even Andy, like Anne Hathaway. Andy have this boyfriend named Peter, is a real estate agent for no reason. And you can cut him out of the whole storyline. Nothing will change. I don't know why they put him in there. He's so insignificant. You know what I mean? He's just like a cute guy that's there for no reason, just for emotional support, I guess. It's just very unreasonable to put Peter in there. Like, just cut him and then give Emily and Nigel more screen time, and the movie will be much, much better. And all the assistant, I only remember Armani's name because Miranda say her name so much. But Jin and the second assistant, I forgot their name. I remember Jin's name just because there is a massive social media thing about her. And that's it. Like, she is so insignificant in that way. And I will come back to that point later, like in the end of my video. But yeah, they're so insignificant. I only remember Armani because she's so iconic. And then that's it. So there is not much like side character plot in any way. Jin kind of have like this one positive moment that she stalked Miranda conversation with the new board director, for her boss, and that's it. And yeah, she shared like a moment of like, oh, I thrift the jacket, like like she have this small moment of representing the thriftiness of Gen Z. Yeah, kind of goofy, but very lovable, of this young generation that is us. But yeah, that's all. Like, that's so small. I pointed it out because I have to nitpick to have something to say about her as a character. But that's basically all it is. If you watch it and you blinked, you would not know that she exists. You would not know. And yeah, both billionaire character, it's just obnoxious. It's just like the wife, it's just flat writing in general, and the husband is just obnoxious. I guess they're trying to make fun of billionaire, but there is no real life characteristic whatsoever. Maybe his personality is a little bit more flamboyant, and like care about space and weird project and stuff like Elon Musk. But other than that, it's also very forgettable, except for the conversation that he had with Miranda. I almost forgot about Lady Gaga because her appearance is just so unnecessary. And yeah, she played herself in the movie, got threatened by Miranda to perform. It kind of sassy back and forth a little bit. I enjoy that scene. But then she performed this song, Shape of a Woman, on this very, very chaotic runway that doesn't have any theme. I don't know what is the purpose, what is the theme of the season, what is the message of a designer, what is the point of Lady Gaga's song. like a feminist, body positive, because the songs show up on the same time that they go and try to convince Sasha Barnes to buy Runway. So maybe, yeah, that like girl power, very, very brief and weird and kind of shallow. And that's about it. I think that's like a marketing and punchline and the marketing tactic that they need. But other than that, she doesn't significantly doing anything to the movie. It's like everything is so just a surface level about this glamorous connection in the fashion world, but there is no point, no explanation at all. And that made me sad because there's so many talented people within this movie that they can use, can scale it up, or they can do a lot of things, but again, nothing happens. And now this is about the angle of press and media. The audience loves it more than critics, and I can give you so many articles, I will put it here, that say this movie is the fast fashion of movie. And to a certain extent, I strongly agree. Because 5 years from now, when the nostalgia have cooled off, nobody will remember this film whatsoever. The first one make a statement. This one, it's like a merchandise based on that statement. It's like a t-shirt with a word on it. You know, it looks important, but after, the trend is gone, nobody cares. And before I watch it in the theater, there's this short interview with Anne Hathaway and Meryl Streep. I think it's an ad interview. Anne Hathaway just share very briefly, "Oh, thank you for making this happen." And when the interview girl asked Meryl that why should we watch it in theater, or should we watch it in theater? I don't know exactly. But then Meryl's like, "Yes, absolutely, because I'm gonna be big." And I was like, they don't seem like they love the movie that they do. You know what I mean? Those people are actually smarter than that, and I do think that they might not be super interested in the movie itself. And definitely the film is going to hit financially. It's already did. They're already making money back. Out of everything that I love about The Devils Wear Prada is the conversation that Annie had in the office at the first scene of the first movie about the cerulean blue. The monologue of Miranda about cerulean blue is basically an iconic moment that she talked about. This crafts matter. Fashion matter. You don't have enough understanding or knowledge about us, but recreating things that matters. The sequel doesn't have that same spirit. And it's complained about the world losing its ways with how articulating what the way was. What is art? What is fashion? Why does it matter? Nobody answered that in the movie. Nobody answered that actually anymore, because the old movie they used to be, Miranda used to have a lot of like monologue that can be quoted and posted everywhere. But this movie, it seems like she just have a lot of monologue about her life, her dedication to the job, and everything within. She just loved working. But what is her work? What is the value of her work to the future and to her children's future? It's just not there. An iconic film is iconic because it argues something. It makes people think. But this film does not argue. It just performs. Okay, a little disclaimer before I close my video. I made a video defending Jin Chao right in the middle of the fire. And the character played by Helen J. Shen, the backlash is she is a bad reputation of Asian. Her name sounds bad. Her outfit is bad. How she look is bad. But I will stand my defense to her because she is cute, she is thrifty, she is represent how Gen Z was viewed by older generation. Because Nigel and Andy did specifically make the comments about like what's wrong with kids these days. I don't understand. And I knew a lot of Asian Americans that working in New York and LA in a creative field. arts, marketing, fashion, and they look similar to Jin, and I will stand by them. And she's written is a very small part in the movie, as I mentioned, and is very insignificant. And I will not tolerate hate, body shaming, or harassment towards her as a character, as an actress, because she's done. People doing that just because she does not fit the Eurocentric beauty standard, tall, skinny, fair skin of like East Asian standard. And beauty is a perspective, and you cannot force your perspective on others people. Despite everything I said, I think The Devil's Wear Prada will still makes a lot of money just because it is iconic, it's recognizable, and it's made by a team of amazing people. Have you watched it? If you watch, can you tell me what you think about it? Because my point of view might be a little bit biased because I used to work as a professional model. I used to, I have friends within the industry. I do have a lot of perspective. So that is only my opinion. I really want to know yours as, fashion lover, the reason why you love this movie, the reason why you don't like it. Please tell me in the comments, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.